Hey guys, it's Callum here from forestfanjr and welcome back to another vlog. School Rant part number 4. Not one that I thought I'd be making quite this early, but here we are. So firstly, if you want the full details of all of this, I suggest you go and watch the previous part. It'll be vlog number 65 in the vlog playlist, which is linked in the description. And if you want more general problems with school as a whole, I can't remember what the vlog numbers are. Parts 1 and 2 of the School Rant will be, or they cover general stuff wrong with school. Like I said, if you want full details of what's going on, check out the previous School Rant. Now, there's a few things that I'm going to get into in this, but before I begin, I just want to quickly make something clear. I just want to mention that all the stuff that I talk about in this part, previous ones, it's all my opinion based on my interpretation of things. These things are based on what my sister's told me about what's happening there. She is a student still. What I can see when I pass by outside on the bus on the way to college, what School X actually sent home, and stuff that I can find online. This is the perspective of a former student of School A who's just seen this whole merger plan as like a really big mistake. With freedom of speech, I am in my right to say all this stuff. However, I could be wrong about how I've interpreted some of the information that I've got here. And if that's the case, I do welcome any and all corrections. I will be making a part 5 soon-ish. That's going to be covering a couple of articles that I found about School X and also their websites. So let's begin with stuff from November to recently. So firstly, I've got 2 updates on stuff from the previous part. I did put it in a comment on that, but I'm just going to say it here as well just to make sure everybody knows. So about a week after I made and released School Rant Part 3, they finally cleared away all the tree branches off the field. The only thing that I can see that's actually in place of about 2 out of the 20 plus branches they cut off is a copy of a sign with the school name on it. And that exact same sign is right next to the path entrance about 30 yards away. What this shows me is that they cut off at least 2 of the branches just because they may have been obstructing a carbon copy of a sign. As for the like 20 or so other branches that were cut off, as well as the full-on tree they cut down, nothing's been put in place of those. I've seen no construction works happening whatsoever, no vans with builders or anything like that anywhere near there. Still no apparent word from School X and any of that. So the 2 branches that they cut off, they really wouldn't have been fully obstructing the sign. They were like thin branches. And if anything, they could have just slightly pushed them behind the back of the sign if they wanted, if they were that desperate. Second thing, the one-way corridor thing that I talked about, it got abandoned. Got abandoned not long after I talked about it because nobody really followed it. The signs that were there saying one way, they spent more time on the floor than on the wall. And the teachers picked them up, but a lot of them just didn't bother sticking them back on the wall. They brought it back and then abandoned it again. They introduced it, got rid of it because no one followed it, tried to bring it back, and then abandoned it again. Hopefully this time it stays abandoned for good, because it's just useless and pointless and stupid. And now let's get into a few of the new things that I want to bring up. Let's start with a quick question I've got about the uniforms. Why does the lower school uniform have the logo clearly visible like there, fairly big, but the upper school uniform has the logo like small like up here on the lapel of the blazer? Who decided that would be a good idea? Have the logo giant here on one uniform and then tiny up here in the other? Who made that decision? And if anything, this smaller logo could be easily covered by long hair. Surely you want to make the uniform so that everybody can tell which school all the students go to. Because otherwise, if there's hair covering the tiny logo up here, it looks like just a plain black blazer. Also, the lower school ties, they've got a really horrible shade of green. Like, the upper school blue ties, they look fine, but the lower school green shade just looks horrible. Back in November, School X seemed to be kind of indecisive about one particular wall in the School A reception area. The story is they decided to knock down a wall to fit in a new window, but about a week later they took the window out and then just patched it all back up with a full-on wall again. Now, I'm not sure what wall exactly it was in the reception area, but based on the description my sister gave me, from what I can tell it sounds to me like it was a wall that already had a fully perfectly fine window in it. If that is indeed the wall I'm thinking of, that means they knocked it down with the window in it, to replace it with another window which wouldn't have made a difference. And then a week later they just took the window out and put a full-on wall there instead. Don't know if this is just plain stupidity or them covertly, indirectly, unintentionally flexing their wealth or something, but word of advice, if you're going to have construction work like that done, plan it well in advance what exactly it is you want doing, and don't change your mind within a week of it being done. You know you suck when you're being exposed by a guy using the name Biglius Squiglius on Twitter. Now, this next point, I'm not sure if it's got anything to do with School X's takeover for sure. Just almost all the teachers that I had when I was at School A have gone. Each time my sister goes through a list of the staff members to see if I recognise any names, there's only about 4 or 5 left that I recognise now. I know 1 or 2 of the staff members I had were planning on leaving after my year group had gone anyway, but it just seemed like way more than that have left now. None of them showed any signs of wanting to leave, especially just before this whole thing happened. Most of them left after this takeover was announced and after it started. One of these staff members happened to be the School A's principal, who, by the way, claimed he planned to leave months in advance, but he never told anybody, which I'm pretty sure you're supposed to do. I mean, it looks to me like the teachers just saw, well, this is going to turn out really bad, I'm going to get out of here so I'm not associated with this whatsoever. I've also heard School X wanted their own teachers there, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe they're kicking my old teachers out to replace them with their own. Or is it just coincidence that all my old teachers happen to leave just as School X comes? I'll leave that to you to decide. This one could possibly be illegal on School X's part. I'm not sure if it actually is. This is just based on what I found on gov.uk, you know, the government website. So, my sister, she started her GCSEs this academic year. One of the things that she didn't choose was computing, and that's just because she didn't like it. She didn't like computing. What I want to know is, why did School X put computing down as an option instead of making it compulsory? Right, just take a look at this screenshot that I got from gov.uk. So it says that computing is a foundation subject, which is compulsory. Basically, you have to do it by law. So why isn't everybody doing it, School X? Can you explain that one, please? I mean, you've managed to cram 6 lessons into a 30-minute short a day, so you've definitely got enough lessons available for this to take place, so why isn't it? Honestly, School X is starting to sound like Agent Jake Paul, but worse, and this is feeling like a BTEC content cop more and more. Something that I want to bring up, that I brought up back in Uncut number 7 in November, a letter that School X sent home about the new uniform. For the most part, the letter was fine, it was just the dates that were the issue. See, they put Thursday the 7th of December, and then they put Friday the 9th of December. The 7, 9... No, that's not how numbers work, School X. Given how stupid they are, I wouldn't be surprised if they thought Saturday was the 8th. I've also noticed there's a certain sign at School B which tells people the way to get to the staff entrance and the visitors entrance. Only problem with this sign is they positioned it kind of badly, as shown here. And as you can see, it looks like both the staff and the visitors entrance are in the direction of the staff only entrance, when in reality the visitors entrance is a few yards to the right. This isn't one of the major points against School X, it's just a bit of a bad design choice on their part, to be honest. To be fair, there was a sign there that was very similar, in a similar position, similar design and all that, before School X showed up, but surely somebody from School X would have noticed this and had it sorted and changed. Can I just also point out that sign's only been there for a few months and it's already dented. The one from School B's time lasted years before it got dented. So, for this point, I decided to have a look around on Company's House, which, for those who don't know, is basically a feature on gov.uk where you can view a company's information. So, like, financial statements, some of the directors and people involved in it, all that sort of thing. And I found quite a few documents from School X. Now, to save you from reading literally hundreds of pages for yourself, I'm just going to go through 3 things that I found in a document, specifically the financial statements document from August 31st, 2017. That's a real 90-page turner that one, let me tell you. On page 77, we can see there's 2 employees, and we see their remunerations, which is basically just another word for salary. And as you can see, the chief executive, aka the guy in charge of all of this, is getting over £180,000, but this other person got less than half. Now, I know this chief executive's in charge and this other person did resign, but that payment just doesn't seem fair at all. On page 78, we can see that there's almost 600 people employed at SchoolX's Multi-Academy Trust, and 8 of them get paid over 60 grand. I can only positively identify one of these 8 people, which is of course the chief executive, being the one guy getting over 100 grand. Now, I don't know who these other 7 people are getting 60 to 100,000 pounds, but I kind of do want to know, just so I can determine for myself whether I think they actually deserve that or not. And I'd also, by comparison, like to find out just kind of how much the other 590 staff members get paid. If it's anything like the average teacher salary of about £28,000 here in the UK, then these payments just look even more unfair. Now, on page 82, I found this about Town Academy. Can you see the error? No? Here, I'll circle it. Yeah, they can't add simple numbers together. If I were them, I would have checked these figures before sending this document, presumably to the government. And that pupil statements thing, that also looks a little bit fishy. I'm kind of seeing that in my head as them paying students a grand total of £13 to say, or probably to say good things about them, which now that I think about it is essentially bribery. But really, that could just be me thinking about it too much. It might just be something innocent for all I know. And if so, correct me, please. Turns out that they're stricter on snowball fights than I originally thought they would have been. Now, I get that they don't want people getting hurt and they don't want things getting damaged from throwing snow and ice at everything, but the punishment for throwing any amount of snow and ice is a bit extreme. It's exclusion. You know, getting kicked out of school for a day or two, where they could just go and throw snow and ice elsewhere in the middle of town. But what made that even worse is, according to my sister, if you were stood anywhere outside while it had been snowing, whether you were taking part in a snowball fight or not, you'd get isolation, no questions asked. I'm hoping that was a bit exaggerated by my sister, seeing as they don't allow students to be indoors during break or lunch, with the exception of the canteen, as long as you're sat down eating or in the queue buying something. Hopefully that's exaggerated by my sister, otherwise it's a case of you're not allowed indoors, and you're not allowed outdoors when it's snowing either. So where you're supposed to go, I've got no idea. Now, my final point to bring up for this video, and then I'll wrap it up. So, before SchoolX came, the last day of term before Christmas was just half a day. You got to go home at lunchtime. There were fun lessons in the morning. It was mostly either watching a film or talking with your friends while doing something like colouring by numbers. You know, sounds fun. Of course, SchoolX decided, no, that is not okay, that is not allowed. So they made the last day a full day, you know, all 6 lessons as normal, and they made this last day happen about a week later than it originally did. Just killing the fun of Christmas, adding an extra week onto the term, and then making the last day a full day instead of a half day, 6 lessons instead of 2.5 to 3 lessons. Like, who decided to do that? Do they just hate kids that badly? They didn't kill the fun of Christmas off completely though, don't panic. No, they allow you to wear a Christmas jumper on that last day, as long as it's over the top of your uniform. Normally, before SchoolX, you would have been allowed non-uniform with a Christmas jumper as part of it. But apparently SchoolX seem to think non-uniform days are, as they put it, uneducational, which isn't even a word. In conclusion, School A is near unrecognisable to me at this point. It looks like they're making School B somehow worse than it already was. To me, it's just looking like, as long as School X make a profit from this, with both high grades from the students, which count for nothing, and money, they just don't care how many stupid choices they make or how many students suffer in some form or another. As long as they get money and good grades to look good at the idiots at Ofsted, they don't really care. School X, let me make this clear. I know you want students to get high grades, which, like I said, don't count for anything, and it's just to make yourselves look good to the idiots at Ofsted. Can you stop enforcing ridiculous rules to get them? Especially because, like I said, grades do not count for anything. But the grades don't count for anything. Topic is kind of a thing for another day. School X.
Well, here we are again. It's always such a pleasure. Under the circumstances, I've been shockingly nice. You're a new disaster. That's what I'm counting on. You're someone else's problem now. I only want you gone. Now I only want you gone. Now I only want you gone.
We're at the point, if they just carry on messing up and making things worse while they keep lying to the public that everything's all fine, it's all hunky-dory and all that, I'm probably going to end up making something like this some point down the line. Now, if you happen to know which school I mean by School X, like I said before, feel free to comment or tweet me your thoughts and feelings, anything you think I should know about School X. If anybody from School A or B or X happens to be watching and you also hate School X and their multi-academy trust, please do something. Tell somebody, make a group like Dumbledore's Army. Share parts 3 and 4 and 5 when it comes out of my School Rant series with your friends. Start petitions. Contact BBC News if you want. That's something I'm genuinely considering. And just parents and somebody at the school, please just stand up for what's right. Get School X out. We don't want them here. Once again, if more misdeeds of theirs come to my attention, or if they see these and respond, actually, that'd be kind of cool. I'll make another follow-up after part 5. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, I just need to end this video. So, thank you for watching, hope you've enjoyed this, like if you did, subscribe if you're new, share this with your friends, get rid of School X, and goodbye. Is it just me, or has anybody else noticed that most of the uniform rules have been targeted at the girls and not the boys?